The Alaskan wilderness. A hunter's paradise, a killer's playground. Alaska, the last frontier. A land of rugged beauty, untamed wilderness and unforgiving landscapes. This is a place where nature reigns supreme, where the elements can be both breathtakingly beautiful and terrifyingly harsh. The vast expanse of forests, mountains and icy terrains create a world that is both enchanting and formidable. But beneath the breathtaking vistas and shimmering glaciers lurked a darkness, a predator who turned this pristine wilderness into his own twisted hunting ground. The serene beauty of the Alaskan wilderness masked the sinister activities of a man who saw this land not as a sanctuary, but as a stage for his malevolent acts. His name was Robert Hansen, and for over a decade he terrorized Anchorage, abducting, hunting and murdering at least 17 women, leaving a trail of fear and anguish in his wake. Hansen's reign of terror was marked by a chilling, methodical approach where he meticulously planned and executed his heinous crimes, evading capture for years. Hansen, a seemingly ordinary baker, blended into the fabric of Anchorage. By day, he was a familiar face in the community, known for his skill in the bakery and his quiet demeanor. He was the kind of person who could easily be overlooked, someone who didn't draw attention to himself. He was quiet, unassuming, even meek. To those who knew him, he was just another resident of the town, a man who went about his business without causing any ripples. But this facade of normalcy was just that, a facade. Yet beneath this veneer of normalcy resided a monster driven by a perverse need to control and destroy. Hansen's true nature was hidden behind a mask of ordinariness, but his actions revealed a deeply disturbed individual with a terrifying capacity for violence. He saw the vast Alaskan wilderness not as a place of awe-inspiring beauty, but as his personal hunting ground, its isolation the perfect cover for his depraved desires. The remoteness of the area provided him with the seclusion he needed to carry out his dark fantasies, turning the wilderness into a place of horror for his victims. Lured into the skyfall's promises and a one-way flight. Hansen's victims were often young women, many of them dancers and sex workers, living on the fringes of society. These women, already marginalized and vulnerable, were easy targets for someone with sinister intentions. They were looking for a way out, a glimmer of hope in their otherwise bleak existence. He would prowl the streets of Anchorage, a predator stalking his prey, searching for vulnerable women to exploit. His eyes would scan the dimly lit streets, always on the lookout for his next victim. The darkness of the night provided the perfect cover for his nefarious activities. His weapon of choice? Deception. With a charming smile and a convincing story, he would approach these women, offering them what seemed like a lifeline. His words were honeyed, his promises alluring, but all of it was a facade. He would offer them money for sex, a ride home, a listening ear. To these women he appeared as a savior, someone who could provide a brief respite from their harsh realities. Little did they know they were stepping into a trap. Sometimes he would even pretend to be a police officer, using their fear and desperation to his advantage. The sight of a badge would make them compliant, believing they were in safe hands. But safety was the last thing he had in mind. Once he gained their trust, he would lure them to his private plane, promising a scenic flight over the Alaskan wilderness. The idea of soaring above the majestic landscapes was too tempting to resist. But what awaited them wasn't the breathtaking beauty of the last frontier, but a terrifying journey into the heart of darkness. The plane, which symbolized freedom and adventure, became a vessel of horror, taking them far away from any hope of rescue. Hunted like prey terror in the Alaskan wilderness. The Alaskan wilderness, with its dense forests and chilling atmosphere, is a place of both beauty and terror. The vast, untouched landscape stretches for miles, hiding secrets and dangers within its misty depths. The plane would touch down in the desolate wilderness, miles from civilization. This remote location, far from the prying eyes of society, became the perfect hunting ground for a predator like Hansen. The isolation provided him with the cover he needed to carry out his sinister plans without interruption. Here, Hansen's true nature would reveal itself. In the solitude of the wilderness, his dark desires came to the forefront. The remote cabin, surrounded by the foreboding woods, became a place of unimaginable horror for his unsuspecting victims. He would bind and gag his victims, stripping them of their dignity and their humanity. The terror they felt was palpable, their cries for help swallowed by the vast, indifferent wilderness. Each moment in captivity was a prelude to the nightmare that was about to unfold. Armed with a hunting rifle and a chilling sense of purpose, he would release them into the unforgiving wilderness, forcing them to run for their lives. The dense woods became a twisted playground where the line between hunter and hunted blurred. Every rustle of leaves, every snap of a twig heightened the sense of impending doom. The chase was never about sport for Hansen. It was a calculated exercise in terror, a way to exert his control and dominance. The rifle in his hands was not just a weapon, it was an instrument of fear, a tool to prolong the suffering of his prey. It was about power, about asserting his dominance over his victims in the most brutal way imaginable. Each step he took through the forest was a reminder of his control, his ability to decide the fate of those he hunted. The fear in their eyes only fueled his twisted sense of superiority. He would stalk them through the dense undergrowth, relishing their terror, their desperate pleas for mercy falling on deaf ears. The forest, with its thick underbrush and towering trees, became a labyrinth of fear where every turn could be their last. He would play with them, prolonging their agony, turning their worst nightmare into a living hell. The sinister grin on his face was a stark contrast to the terror etched on theirs, a chilling reminder of the depths of human cruelty. A killer's toolkit, meticulous planning and deadly traps. Hansen was a skilled outdoorsman, a hunter who knew the Alaskan wilderness like the back of his hand. He used this knowledge to his advantage, setting traps and snares, turning the very landscape into an extension of his cruelty. He would often return days later, long after the life had drained from their eyes, to claim his trophies, jewelry, clothing, mementos of his depravity. He meticulously documented his crimes, keeping a chilling record of each victim, a map with tiny X's marking their burial sites, a macabre testament to his sinister reign of terror. He believed he was invincible, that the vast Alaskan wilderness would keep his secrets safe forever. He was wrong. In June 1983, Hansen's reign of terror came to an abrupt end. One of his intended victims, 17-year-old Cindy Paulson, managed to escape his clutches. She had been abducted, tortured and left for dead in the wilderness, but her will to survive was stronger than Hansen's desire to break her. She managed to flag down a passing truck driver, her story so harrowing, so unbelievable, that it seemed ripped from the pages of a horror novel. The police were initially skeptical, but Paulson's detailed account of her ordeal, coupled with the description of Hansen's plane, was too compelling to ignore. The net was closing in. Unearthing the horror, the grim discovery at Horseshoe Lake. Confronted with Paulson's testimony and mounting evidence, Hansen cracked. He confessed to his crimes, leading investigators to a remote area near Horseshoe Lake. The discovery sent shockwaves through Alaska and beyond. The remains of 12 women, buried in shallow graves, were unearthed, their bodies bearing silent witness to the unspeakable horrors they had endured. Each victim represented a life cut tragically short, a family forever broken. The scale of Hansen's depravity was staggering, the sheer brutality of his crimes leaving an indelible stain on the Alaskan psyche. Justice, but no peace, a life sentence and the silence of a killer. Hansen was sentenced to 461 years in prison, plus life, a sentence that ensured he would never again draw breath as a free man. He took many of his secrets to his grave, refusing to disclose the full extent of his crimes, leaving a chilling question mark hanging over the vast Alaskan wilderness. Justice had been served, but it could not erase the pain, the anguish, the lingering fear that Hansen had inflicted. The families of his victims were left to pick up the pieces, forever haunted by the knowledge of their loved ones' suffering. Scars on the Last Frontier. The enduring impact of Hansen's reign of terror. The case of Robert Hansen, the butcher-baker, sent shockwaves through Alaska and beyond. It shattered the illusion of safety in the last frontier, exposing the darkness that can lurk beneath the surface of even the most idyllic settings. His crimes had a profound impact on law enforcement, leading to significant changes in the way missing persons cases were handled, particularly those involving vulnerable women. Whispers in the wind, the haunting legacy of the trapper killer. Even today, decades after his crimes, the legacy of Robert Hansen continues to haunt Alaska. His name is whispered in hushed tones, a chilling reminder of the vulnerability of innocence in the face of pure evil. The vast Alaskan wilderness, once a symbol of untamed beauty, now holds a chilling duality, a place of both awe-inspiring grandeur and unspeakable darkness. And in the whispers of the wind, one can almost hear the echoes of the past, the terrified screams of Hansen's victims, forever etched in the memory of the last frontier.